All right. Well, I'm ready when you guys are.
Hey, we're live right now. So
awesome. I didn't see that come up. What's up, everyone? Who used to be there? I don't know if anybody left or is still around, but welcome to the Purple People Podcast. I'm excited to be here with you guys.
Yeah, we're going a little later than usual tonight.
Yeah, I had a bunch of stuff going on at work, so this is kind of the saving grace for this week. It's been a crappy work week, so I'm excited to talk some Vikings football with you guys. But I'm here as always with Adam Carlson.
Yo.
And Kyle West. How you doing, man?
Hey, yo. How's it going?
It's going. 1 week closer to the regular season, 1 week closer to the draft, which is in a little over a month from now, so I'm pretty excited about it. But
still.
And there's still a lot of free agency to go. I mean, sure, a lot of the big names are scooped up, but you can find some real gems in free agency around this time.
I swear, they keep pushing the draft back further and further and further, or we all start talking about it sooner and sooner and sooner. I thought it was in like a week.
No. But I am kind of sad that I have not yet seen any verification that there's going to be a Vikings draft party at the Egan facility, which is what I really want. That I want to be there for that. I want to enjoy that. So hopefully that happens.
It'd be fun. It'd be a lot of fun to go to.
If they unblocked you from all the social media, like you told us before, just bug the shit out of them until they're, hey, you guys having a draft?
No, I ain't risking that again.
If I'm here, which it's the end of April, yeah, I'll be here. I think it should find one. There's actually, as weird as it sounds, there's an El Paso Vikings fan club down here, so should probably figure out a good spot down here to do it. But let's get this show title and the number out before I forget. If you can believe it, this is our 294th episode.
Creeping up on 300.
Among Sheldon. So Sheldon, excuse me. I said Sheldon like we're listening to the Big Bang Theory. But
yeah, Sheldon, like the show Young Sheldon on CBS, which you probably couldn't pay me to watch.
No, not at all.
Yeah, you could pay me to watch it, and let me change that. But it would have to be a pretty decent chunk of money, I think.
Now, if Fanside had offered you an opportunity to write for it, Adam, would you take it?
No.
Oh,
you're going to get paid for it.
No.
I wouldn't either.
No, I can't write about stuff I don't love. That's why The Walking Dead and the Minnesota Vikings are a perfect fit for me.
That sounds a lot like what happened to me at work. That's really funny. I feel the same way. If you're not loving what you're doing, you should probably shift to something else.
Exactly.
But we titled this Among Sheldon because we're going to talk about Sheldon Richardson. If you haven't heard the big news, it's going to be our main topic for the week. We got him on a 1-year deal, but we're going to give our thoughts on that a little later. But first, before we do that, we're going to go into some quick hits.
Boom.
So let's talk about running backs. I am very excited to talk about this because Latavius Murray agrees to restructure his contract to stay in Minnesota. He voids the third-year option and is going to be a free agent after this season. But he agreed.
I'm okay with that.
What was his cap hit? It was $5 million something, and he decided to take a little less money so he could stay. So, all in all, I think it's great. If you ask me, we lost Dalvin Cook early in the year, which means he should be ready to go week 1. I love Jerick McKinnon. We talked about it last week. He went to the 49ers to go get paid. Congratulations to him. Best of luck over there. But I think Dalvin Cook can do pretty much everything that we asked Jerick McKinnon to do. So you have that 1-2 punch. Now, the thing that was different for me was obviously we think of Jet McKinnon. He's obviously one of the better pass-catching backs in the league. But Latavius and Dalvin Cook are kind of similar because they love to go up the middle. So we'll see how this works. But I'm glad they stayed.
Yeah, I actually wrote a piece over on the Viking Age about what the Vikings can or should do for a third running back since they don't have the options that they previously had. And right now, I don't think they're in too horrible of a spot.
Nope, assuming that they keep the fullback, I think we'll be in good shape. But I think you're right, Adam. I think we're going to bring in a third running back just in case.
Oh, yeah.
So moving right along, Kirk Cousins, we talked about him last week, new Vikings quarterback, can earn up to $90 million on his contract if he leads the Viking to a Super Bowl each of his first 3 years in Minnesota.
Any bonus that he gets for helping bring the Vikings to the Super Bowl, he can have.
He can have all of them. If he takes the Vikings to 3 Super Bowls, he can have my house. You don't need my house. You can have it. He can have whatever he wants.
Hey, he's got a house and a conversion van. He's good to go.
Yeah, but I think we'll all be on board for just whatever you want, Kurt. If you can do that, go for it, man.
You know what's funny, too, is we all know how the Wolves are going to come out if he doesn't perform up to standard or if we have a bad season. But could you imagine all the turnaround of the fair weather and ass-kissing fans out there if he somehow does lead us to the Super Bowl? I'm not even talking about a win. If we go to the Super Bowl because we signed Kirk Cousins, he's going to be like Stephon Diggs from last year. After that miraculous play against the Saints, he's going to be the man around town. He's not going to have to pay for a drink.
Adam, you remember this time last year when everyone was all fucking Case Keenum? Why'd the Vikings sign Case Keenum?
Oh, yeah.
That was horrible. What are they doing? He was terrible. What are we? Blah, blah, I'm angry.
Yeah, that was bad.
And that worked out pretty good for the Vikings, just saying. So
that's true. I want to give a shout out right now because we got Yanyaj here in the chat with us, along with our good friend Dorian Foley. With us as well are Eric Spencer, TF Tyler, and others. Right now there's a lot of discussion going on about Jarius Wright, but we also have a little bit of love going on for Mac Brown, who I believe is actually going to be the Vikings' third running back.
Yeah, and we just signed him again, I believe. So
yeah.
There you go. If you guys are wondering who that running back number 3 spot is, which I know everyone is dying to know, you heard it here first.
Adrian Peterson.
Hey, it could be a mid-round rookie, though, too. If one of those bigger names starts slipping, you never know.
Please let us get a mid-round rookie and be an Alvin Kamara type. I will be perfectly fine with that. Perfectly okay with it.
And then taking the year off of Latavius Murray's contract will seem like an even better move if that happens. Or if Brown steps up.
That would be fantastic.
I'm okay with him taking that year off his contract.
Sorry about that. Me and Kyle like to talk at the exact same time, so you get Kyle squared. But we didn't get to see a lot of Mac Brown last year. We kind of had a lot of questions because we signed him right before we were going to take – we signed him after taking him from his previous team that we were about to play, which were the Washington Redskins. But when we had such good production out of our 1-2 punch and McKinnon and Murray, I mean, you don't really need to. Which we can transition this later when I rant about tight ends and how that went on. I don't know, but – it'd be cool to see what he offers. I'd like to see maybe have to pay attention more in the preseason games because I'm sure he'll get a bigger role there. So we can.
He has been a preseason stud lately.
Awesome. Well, speaking of studs, we're going to talk about what everybody was mentioning in the chat here, and really sad to see this guy go. He's been Mr. Third Down. We said it the last 2 years. If you can count on 3 things, one of those 3 things would be Jarius Wright catching a pass on third down. He has signed a 2-year contract with the Carolina Panthers.
I think he'll get a good look there. It'll be a better opportunity for him. But, of course, I will miss him in Minnesota. Plus, that puts a little bit of a damper on the depth chart in Minnesota. It means that we're going to have to see more from the big guy, Laquan Treadwell. That was a first-round draft pick. So he's going to have to step up in a big way, and I do believe Minnesota now will have to look towards the early-ish to mid-rounds of the draft for a wide receiver to step in and take on some kind of role in the offense.
Yeah, it would be great if we had this guy. I don't know if we maybe drafted in the first round a couple of years ago who could fill that void. Be cool if his name was Laquan Treadwell. We'll see how that works. I'm trying not to be a dick about it because to be fair, I think, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong in the chat and my fellow podcast mates on here, 3 years is what you should give a player to get adjusted and find the role and see if they're worth it or not, depending on where they were picked.
His first year, he came in injured, got injured again, and just really struggled. Only had the 1 catch. Second year was a lot better and limited playing time. I think that they're easing him in a great way, and I believe that he's not going to be a 1,000-yard receiver, but I think we're going to see 700 and some touches.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be I think he would be catapulted to the wide receiver 3 spot. Now, obviously, we know who 1 and 2 are on the team, but I think this gives him a better opportunity now that he's been in the league a little bit, and he's made a flashy play here or there, so we can't totally count him out, but Jarius was pretty dependable. And what the greatest thing I love about Jarius Wright before we switch on to the next quick hit is, you know, he takes the pressure off of the guys that we know are going to get maybe double teamed or definitely going to be playing against the number 1 corner. And then he was always there when we were in a pinch and needed something. And he's caught a handful of touchdowns over his career that have been pretty good that honestly we're all looking to see, all right, cool, I think Thielen's going to catch this pass or Diggs is going to break one for, you know, a big touchdown. And here's Jarius Wright going for 20 when we need a 3rd and 9 converted. So our hats off to you, and we wish you the best in Carolina. Unless we play against you, then I hope you do terrible. Thank you.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good player. I'm going to be sad to see him go. I am sad to see him go.
Mm-hmm.
Although I don't blame him for taking the opportunity to play elsewhere. He has, in the past, he's restructured his contract to take less money. He's seen his playing time get decreased. So I don't blame him for wanting to take a shot with another team and try to prove himself, because he is a good player, and I think that he can make plays on the field. We've seen him do that quite a bit. So
I was surprised to see him go because his contract, when he got released, didn't free up a ton of money. I think it was like $2 million or something like that.
Yeah,
yep,
it's not much.
Players don't usually get released for that small a sum, especially when it creates so much dead cap. So I know that for a while there was hopes that he'd be able to return on a smaller contract, but with the Vikings already having to pay him, the dead money from the contract guarantee, to sign him back would cost even more. So it made zero sense for him to come back once he was cut.
Also, he's going into his 6th year, so he's very much in his prime. So depending on the role that Norv gives him with Cam Newton down there in Carolina, he could see more production. His best year was a couple years ago when AP came back and we went 11-5, won the division with Teddy Bridgewater. I think he had like 500 some odd yards and 3 touchdowns, which was decent. And
let's be honest, the Panthers don't have a ton of weapons. I mean, last year I believe their top receiver was their running back.
Yeah, that's correct. Christian McCaffrey, I think, is who you're referencing there.
That's correct.
He's a stud too, but I don't want to turn this into the Carolina podcast because...
Hey, we're just talking about the opportunities that Jarius Wright's going to get, even though they aren't here in Minnesota.
You're right, and I could talk about Jay Wright for a while. I think everyone's favorite play, or at least my favorite play, is a lot what others would have against the Jets, going ahead and taking it overtime. And I think tying it all together, since we're talking about Sheldon Richardson, wasn't that him that he kind of burned? Because I was like, man, is that him chasing him down? Yeah, I think that was him. So this whole podcast is going to turn around full circle. So pretty excited about that.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of wide receivers that used to play for the Vikings and are now going to other teams, this guy was a big conversation piece while he was here, for the better or for the worse. But former Viking wide receiver Cordarrelle Patterson was traded from the Raiders to the Patriots.
Now this trade, it was what was it? They traded a 5th-round draft pick for Cordarrelle in a 7th or something like that. It was some weird pick like that.
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics, but it was a odd sort of combination of shit.
Yeah, it's really odd. I mean, Cordarrelle Patterson is really struggling to find his niche in the NFL. He's got so many talents as far as his elusiveness and speed, but he just can't seem to put the polish on it. There's no icing on the cake. We need that icing.
Mm-hmm.
Adam's talked about it plenty of times between the three of us, and sometimes with Dory and Foley in our Pro People podcast chat. He just needs to learn how to run a crisp route. I think that's what you said. And that's been his biggest thing. I've gotten, I wouldn't say into arguments on the internet about it, but a lot of guys are like, I don't know why we let him go. Did you see all the gadget stuff, blah, blah, blah. And if you're that guy who's going to change the position like a Randy Moss or like a Deion Sanders or like a Barry Sanders at your respective positions, then you base the offense around him. I'm going to base the offense based on the team he was on around Adrian Peterson because he was the freaking league MVP. I'm not basing my offense and all my plays around Cordell or freaking Patterson, And it's not to take anything away from him, but I'm going to put my money on it. I bet you he comes out and has about 750 yards and 6 touchdowns in New England because that's just what's going to happen when you go work for Bill Belichick and Tom Brady's throwing you the football.
And you can bet he's going to be returning kicks there as well.
Oh, absolutely. They'll turn him into a star, and then they'll dump him in 2 years when he's a household name.
Yeah, they'll take their investment on this trade and flip it. That's what they do, and they always end up being able to turn that into a weird draft situation where they go down a couple picks and then go up for the player they want. I don't know how they do things, man. It's crazy. That Patriots front office, I don't know how they do things.
They've worked the deal with the devil somehow.
The Vikings got a pretty good front office as well. Rick Spielman's been able to work some real magic with the salary cap lately, so I can't complain one bit.
Yeah, isn't it weird, before we jump back in these quick hits, isn't it weird how, about 5-6 years ago, we were just wondering how we're going to piece it together. We had optimism with a new coach coming in, and then we were like, man, I wish we could take that leap to, where we're maybe a playoff team now holy crap, man, we're like contenders. And now it's, all right, we're contenders. We're a real team. Everybody knows it. Now, how do we get to the Super Bowl? I think Slick Rick has done an amazing job gradually and over time. You know, he's had a couple bumps here and there, but
I mean, a fully guaranteed backloaded contract on Cousins isn't going to help down the road. But with the salary cap going up, maybe he'll be able to retain a lot of the players that he had, not lose a lot of what brought him to this point. So I'm hoping that things work out in that regard. But for now, things are looking good. And I guess we'll worry about down the road when we get down the road, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's a different position for the Vikings to be in, where we are working to retain our own talent first instead of reaching out into free agency.
Well, there was a time when the Vikings didn't have a lot of talent on that roster.
Exactly. That was exactly my point. And we're in a position where we've got a number of players that we have to try to retain. You're right. That's not something that we're used to in Minnesota.
No, especially not wide receivers. I mean, wide receivers have come and gone for the Vikings, and finding ones that stick and want to stick.
It's just, it don't happen.
No.
So let's talk about some transactions here, and I have no idea who these people are. So let's talk about Vikings have signed tight end Josiah Price, long snapper Nick Dooley, coolest name ever, and also waived linebacker Sean Washington. So didn't know we had that linebacker. And
Josiah Price used to be a practice squad body. I believe they released him sometime during the last season, bringing him back into training camp.
I remember.
Nick Dooley is an interesting one because Jeff Overbaugh was recently released, and he was the long snapper that was brought in to play when the starting long snapper went down with an injury. So basically, it's Overbaugh out, Dooley in, and I don't see it as some kind of competition. I think it's just insurance.
We'll see how
long snapper discussion.
I'm all about kicker discussion too. I'm waiting for us to bring in competition for Kai Forbath.
Well, we don't have Kai Forbath on our quick hits, even though he was signed, so we can't talk about him.
Didn't happen. Not on the notes.
Right?
We have. I believe he came back for a 1-year deal, which is fine. We have to have a kicker on the roster. I mean, that's a given. But I would be interested to see some competition come in at some point to kind of push him to be the best version of himself, because he's not the Blair Walsh that we had a couple years ago by any means, but he has that a couple times where you just shake your head and you're like, please don't do this. Please don't. If
you want people to tell you off, go on Twitter, type in the Vikings should use a late round draft pick on a kicker. Do it, because they will go off on you like nothing.
That's just why I love the internet. It's full of a bunch of stupids. What do you want us to take, a second-round kicker or do like the Bucks?
That was actually my question I was going to ask.
You get a good one in free agency afterwards.
Yeah. That was my question I was going to ask you guys, is do you think we will draft a late-round kicker this year?
I'd be fine with it.
Would be totally okay with it.
I think it's a possibility. I really
Social media question, Kyle. There you go.
That'll be next week, so let's do it. Let's anger some folks on Facebook.
Yeah.
Yaj in the chat says Treadwell should be cut. Ouch. A little harsh there. Give it a little bit of time.
Yaj, give him 1 more year. If he doesn't, then that's fine. Bye with you. We'll figure it out again. We'll draft somebody else who'll suck. I'm kidding. We drafted Stephon Diggs. That's fine.
Just got to take him in the 4th round. Just take him in rounds 4 or undrafted. That's all you got to do.
The last quick hit was a guy I liked before. Former Vikings linebacker Emmanuel Lamore signs with the Oakland Raiders.
Yeah, he was a Mike Zimmer guy.
Yeah.
So kind of sad to see Mike Zimmer guys leaving Mike Zimmer, but it does open up an opportunity for more linebackers. Ben Gedeon kind of grabbed a hold of that spot, so it kind of made Lamar kind of expendable in a lot of ways. But you can't complain with the results that Ben Gedeon had as a rookie, even though he didn't play a ton of snaps, despite being designated as a starter. I do believe that he fills in real well next to Barr and Kendricks. But then again, those two guys, they can cover a lot of field, a lot of speed, a lot of athleticism, a lot of instinct between those two.
Yeah, he's gonna. It's something that Oakland needs. He's gonna be playing for a really cool coach. I don't know if he's good anymore, but he's a very cool players kind of guy. And the place that Oakland needs help with is definitely on the defensive side. So Oakland, you got a decent piece. So good for you. You get to play with and near Khalil Mack, who's a monster. But before we jump into this main topic, one of my friends is listening right now, and she's actually on her way to deploy. So shout out to Lajas. Hope you have fun over there. And thank you for listening tonight, obviously. So thank you for listening to us all the way in Virginia right now.
Absolutely. Always great to have new and interesting folks tuning in. I love it.
But let's get to this main topic. This is the most exciting. This might be better to me than the Kirk Cousins signing.
Whoa, easy there, fella.
Might be. And hopefully he doesn't massively underperform. But if you guys haven't heard and you've been under a rock for the last week, the Vikings assigned defensive tackle Sheldon Richardson to a 1-year contract. Sheldon Richardson spent his first 4 seasons with the New York Jets. And he was last year with the Seahawks. And he's a pretty damn good player. I'm kind of shocked that we actually rounded him up, but I watched his press conference. I love the way he interacted with the media. He said, don't overplay the hype. He's like, I just came here to try to win a championship, and pretty good. And I officially believe we have the best front 4 in football now.
Yeah, Sheldon Richardson takes the place of Tom Johnson, who is getting some pretty good sniffings from around the league. So Tom Johnson should find a home, and I believe that the signing of Richardson kind of means that Tom Johnson won't be coming back, which I really enjoyed Tom Johnson, so that's kind of sad. But Sheldon Richardson on a 1-year deal, quite a bit cheaper than I thought he was going to be. When I first heard that he was signing, I had heard a lot of rumors that his asking price was around 14 and that he was getting offers of around 11. So when it came in that it was, 8?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, really? 8? That's, I mean, it's not cheap, but you're getting yourself a Pro Bowl caliber defensive tackle to plug in between 2 Pro Bowlers.
Well, it's a really smart business move on his part. Think of what he's doing, Adam. He put himself in a system where he should get really good production, and then he can fleece some other team for a huge contract next year. It makes sense to me. I don't have no problem with that. I'll rent him for a year and then let Cleveland overpay for him.
It is strange, though, because maybe I'm in the minority here, but I don't see him as needing to have a prove-it type contract, because I believe that his play on the field hasn't dictated himself to need to prove himself. But yet, the problem with his position and really any interior position on the defensive line, whether you're a center whether you're in the middle of a 3-4 or one of the 2 guys in the middle of a 4-3, is that you're not going to end up racking up a ton of stats. So when you go to your agent, you don't have, my guy caught this many passes or all these statistics. You'd have to go like to Pro Football Focus and take what they think that you had as far as hurries and things like that. And I do believe that it's harder to market yourself as a defensive tackle. But the tape doesn't lie. When you watch the tape on Sheldon Richardson, you watch it and you're getting a player who, like Zimmer said in the conference, and like Richardson himself said, a very disruptive player. And Sheldon Richardson himself said, sure, I was able to get back and be disruptive, but I didn't finish plays, and I felt like I left too many plays on the field. And that's the kind of things that you want to hear from a player working under Zimmer, because Zimmer will hone in on that and be like, okay, well, what can we do to fix that or improve upon that? And I think that we're going to see a really cool, focused version of Sheldon Richardson, maybe that we haven't seen in a couple seasons.
Oh, absolutely. Mike Zimmer's not going to let him cut any corners. We all know that. I'm looking through his stuff here. So he's a Pro Bowler one time. He's the 2013 AP Defensive Rookie of the Year. He has 19 sacks, and he's only been in the league for 5 years. And this is a D tackle we're talking about, and 169 tackles. So
look at the 6 forced fumbles, though. When he gets in there, he gets his hands in there. He's recovered 5 of those 5 fumbles as well. He even has an interception.
I'm looking at it now, and that was
2 defensive touchdowns.
That's incredible.
And we're gonna sandwich him between Everson Griffin and Linval Joseph.
Yep.
That is freaking scary.
That's fantastic for us. The defense, we were hoping we weren't going to lose anybody, and we ended up getting to keep everyone, at least for this year, intact. And then here we are adding a piece that's he might be top, 10, 15 in his position. So good for him. Good for us. I'm happy to, like Kyle said, rent him for a year. Really excited about it.
Yeah, and if nothing else, this gives Jaleel Johnson a little more time to develop as well, or the Vikings an opportunity to take a look at some of the defensive tackles in the draft and maybe pull the trigger on one of those and bring them in to develop as well. So
Vikings always draft a
buys
tackle.
a little bit of time for them to fill the hole, maybe look down the road a little bit. But as we've said before, this Vikings team right now isn't thinking too far down the road because they believe in the talent they have now. They want to put as many pieces in place to help the pieces that are there succeed. So as soon as this machine gets rolling, I think Sheldon Richardson is going to be a very important part of the engine.
It's difficult. Remember, we were talking about this a couple days ago about how when Mike Zimmer first came here, he had to make some difficult decisions on getting rid of some fan favorite players like Adi Cole or whatnot. They had to go for this team to make the next step. And so what he's doing right now is making more difficult decisions to let go of players like Jarius Wright or Tom Johnson, who are good players, but he's hoping to improve the team by bringing in a Sheldon Richardson, who is a step above, we hope, what a Tom Johnson can play at. So I don't envy what Mike Zimmer has to do right now.
Zimmer's got a kind of a really nice job right now because the only huge free agent that would be starting or in a starting capacity is Terrence Newman still out there. And it is still being said that the Vikings are negotiating with Terrence Newman and that lines of communication are open. So the door isn't shut on bringing him back. But for the most part, we're going to see a lot of familiar faces still in that secondary. So as well as the defense as a whole. And that should be really exciting to Vikings fans, especially with an offense that's going to be hopefully a lot more aggressive.
Mm-hmm.
I gave Adam a shout out before we started the show, just talking amongst the three of us, but I wanted to recommend for everyone to go check out his stuff on the Viking Age. I know we plug it at the end of each show, but he gathered up, and I wish more people wrote articles like this. It gathers all the projections from the so-called experts or somewhat experts out there of, for draft season. Hey, we're at number 30. Who do they think that we're going to pick? A lot of people going offensive line. I don't think the guy from here in El Paso is going to be around. I think he's going to get taken earlier than that. But transitioning to what you were just talking about, the secondary, I really hope we go offensive line in the first round, unless there's just somebody there you can't pass up at 30. But is it a consensus across the board? If we go offensive line first round, we should take a corner in the second round. What do you think? Obviously, best player available would be there too, but I'm thinking we should go kind of high for a corner as well.
Yeah, right now I'm with you. I'm looking offensive line and corner should be the first two picks. And then you kind of got to be looking at a wide receiver after that, and then maybe a running back 3. I know a lot of people are clamoring for a safety, which I don't see that as being a massive need. But, as far as if there is a talent on the board that just keeps falling and Minnesota can look at this player and think, well, I could see a future in developing this guy, or this guy's got a lot of raw talent, and Minnesota's been able to develop a lot of raw talent on the defensive side of the ball. So, that's what I love about the draft is anything can happen. And when you're number 30, you never know what's going to happen in front of you. Maybe a run on quarterbacks will drop offensive linemen or corners lower. You never know.
It's difficult to know what this team is going to do. I was listening to Paul Allen this morning, and he made a great comment where he's like, you think you have the Vikings figured out, and then they draft Anthony Barr.
Yep.
And nobody had the Vikings projected to draft Anthony Barr, and we all sat here and went, who the hell is that? That's going to be in Minnesota this year. We're sitting here talking about offensive tackle and corner, and someone's going to fall, and we're going to take some player that nobody's talking about.
I completely remember after the draft, we came in and we had a podcast, and I said, Anthony Barr is a fantastic player, but I didn't see his fit in a 4-3.
Yeah, I remember that.
And it went on for Zimmer to use him in a hybrid role as almost like a floating defensive end sometimes, which was really cool and innovative. And it's strange because right at that time is when we saw that shift. the shift from Leslie Frazier to Mike Zimmer, where the defense went from the base 4-3 cover 2 to this hybrid of schemes and players being used out of position or in ways that we hadn't really gotten used to as Vikings fans for a while. And it opens up a lot of doors. And I think we're in a similar position now because the Vikings have DeFilippo or whatever his name is, Ryan DeFilippo.
Yeah, there it is.
And honestly, I don't know what kind of players he prefers, what he wants in his offense.
I don't know.
So I'm expecting to be fully surprised. I'm excited.
We'll see how it rolls. I can see that happening again, but I like I said earlier, I trust these guys. It's not like even if I didn't, they wouldn't keep doing what they're doing. But as a fan, I like the way the team has been built the last 4 years. You've seen a progression year to year. Cut all the injuries out. We can't really help when that happens, but it's taken a step forward in some way, shape, or form, and sometimes multiple ways each year going forward because I think they're finally built around, hey, look, this is what this guy's good at. We're going to do that the best we can, and we're going to try to win a championship, which, we've been waiting a long time, still don't have one, but hopefully we can do what Philly did and finally know what it feels like. And it looks like we're on the right path. Who knows? But if you guys are okay for transitioning, I threw Philly in there because the other main topic we had, it's not confirmed, but I'm looking at Sports Illustrated right now, and this is 2 days ago. This is by, Scooby Axon. What a great name. Wrote an article for Sports Illustrated. It has a tweet from Howard Eskin. It says, when the NFL schedule comes out, sources tell me the Eagles will play the Vikings to open the season Thursday night, September the 6th in Philadelphia, a rematch of the NFC Championship game. And this was at March 19th, 6:54 a.m.
Yeah, almost a month ago, Adam Patrick wrote an article predicting this exact same thing. And with the Eagles opening the season, the Super Bowl winner always opens the season. We always had that 1-in-8 chance. And for it to be a rematch of the NFC Championship game, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. And I saw a joke on Twitter that I'm gonna repeat. I might butcher it, but I'll give it a shot. An Eagles fan said that the time of the game is going to be at 6:22, or as you Vikings fans like to say it, 38-7.
Oh,
I hate the joke, but I gotta respect the wittiness.
It's funny. It was not funny, and I still hate that game more than most I've ever seen. But that is pretty funny. So we don't know if this is confirmed yet, but it looks like, a lot of stuff gets leaked all the time. That's kind of like the Kirk Cousins stuff. We didn't officially know that he was going to come to Minnesota and sign, but we knew about a week in advance that it was pretty certain. So hopefully we'll find out something so we can confirm it later in our quick hits. But I'm excited because very rarely does a team win the Super Bowl and they just come out guns blazing. Like, I hate that. Oh, they still had a head of steam from the year before, blah, blah. Like, they've went through a whole offseason period. They've gotten rid of players. They've added players, maybe even added coaches, lost coaches. We know Philly lost a coach. So I don't believe that head of steam or that the word escapes me right now, but I don't believe that we're going to carry over the momentum is what I was looking for from last year. And quite frankly, I'm hoping we just kick the shit out of the Eagles to start the year out. That's just how I feel.
I'm always down for a win, and I believe this Vikings team is going to be really competitive. So bring on anybody. The entire season's going to be rough. Lots of tough games on the schedule. So Eagles are just one of many.
This schedule we've got coming up this year is brutal, but you got to play the ones that are in front of you. So we'll do just that. Where do we want to transition to now? We talked about Sheldon Richardson. Super stoked about that. We just talked about the Eagles game that'll probably happen. Kyle, you got that social media question up that you posted?
Give me a minute. I can pull it up on my phone.
Well, I'll let you pull that up. I'm going to go on a slight rant here because this is irritating the hell out of me, and I've been ready to talk about this since we started. My bold statement of the week: we don't need a freaking tight end. I don't know who started this thing where we need to start drafting a tight end, but we have a top 5 tight end in the league in Kyle Rudolph, maybe a little bit higher, maybe 4th. And David Morgan is a very viable backup. And the Belldozer, great tight end number 3. They can all do what we need tight ends to do in certain situations. Mainly, I'm looking at Rudy. He dude, I don't know, man. Kleinstosser was great, but he might go down as the best Viking tight end we've ever had if he keeps catching touchdowns like he is.
You guys and your receiving tight end, you look straight past the blocking, man. No, the blocking's important.
The main point, because you know what tight ends are to most quarterbacks, especially the mid-tier quarterbacks. They're security blankets. Very rarely does Kyle Rudolph just have a shit game. So I love that guy, but he will do the dirty work. Like you said, he can block all right. But we're talking about a guy like David Morgan. Why would we need to draft a tight end when he can go in there and do the dirty work?
David Morgan has shown that he's an excellent blocker. He's ridiculous. A solid receiver. When he's on the field, he gets great opportunities. Then you got Blake Bell, the Belldozer, a fantastic special teams player. And when he comes into the game, he has yet to really make a lot of mistakes or have bad blocking. So, again, I don't understand why the need. I know everybody wants this dynamic 2 tight end offense, but the offensive line still isn't fixed. And if you don't have people that can block to help out, I mean, CJ Ham might have to stay in to block, and then you're taking a wide receiver or a tight end off the field to add another tight end. I don't know.
Here's what I'm going to do to make it easy. And I would never call anyone that listens to our podcast dumb, because I think you guys are Vikings fans and you're smart. But I'm going to dumb this down so that even a Packer fan could figure this out. If you don't like the Kirk Cousins that throws a lot of interceptions, you build a great offensive line around him. You don't rely on the tight end to be an offensive lineman. We have great tight ends. You don't want a 2 tight end set, because then we're going to take away from the receivers that we have. In case your brain is just somehow adapted amnesia, we have a top wide receiving core in the league. 2 top wide receivers. We don't need 2 top tight ends. Doesn't work that way. I don't know where this came from, but it's been bothering me and irritating the hell out of me. Don't draft a tight end. We don't need one. Fix the offensive line. That's it.
Hey, and I couldn't agree with you more. I don't see tight end as being a need. But as I've said before, if that player falls in your lap and you've got the top tight end in the draft, and you're sitting there at the end of round 1, round 2, or even round 3, and there's this tight end that just you don't understand why they were slipping, and he could fit in the team real well, the Vikings are going to draft him. But I don't think it should be a priority or something they're seeking out. Not the way they should be looking at, a guard or an offensive tackle or a cornerback. But hey, a lot of people like to play armchair GM.
Right here.
Right here. Do that all year round here on the show, like armchair GM. Let's see here. I have the social media question pulled up on the phone. And so I asked you guys a fun one this week as to whether or not you think the Minnesota Vikings are a destination spot for free agents in the NFL. And I want to know what you guys think of this as well, too. I had some really good comments here. I actually had some from both ways as well, too. I had John, who said, I think yes, an NFC championship team and a shiny new stadium and training facility.
Ain't nothing wrong there. You heard Sheldon Richardson praising all that, right?
Exactly. He said, only problem is convincing players that the winters aren't that bad.
They aren't that bad. Then again, really I came from more snow, so I don't
know. Stefan said, not only does it look like it, it also seems like we are luring the right types of free agents. Players committed to win a Super Bowl, but without being anything close to a diva.
Yeah.
So none of those diva players coming. Paul Gruber says, no, I do not feel the Vikings are considered the destination for free agents. I suspect many players will go for the big money and will go wherever they can to get that, not here. However, there are many players who want to get into a winning situation regardless of getting a big payday. Those may choose to come to our team in purple.
And we talked about that with the Kirk Cousins signing as well, because there were reports that Kirk had offers on the table for more money. We also talked about Tom Johnson, probably getting his last contract of his career, wanting to cash in. And we completely understand all that. It's all the priority of the player and his agent working with him to get him the best possible deal for what the player wants.
You know what I think about it? It's Minnesota's not the biggest market. It's not in New York and LA, anywhere huge like that. But with the stuff that we can have to work to our advantage to compensate for the crappy weather that is up there, in the wintertime, it's the state-of-the-art stuff. Look at the brand new stadium. It rivals, if not better, is better than Jerry's World in Dallas. That stadium is amazing. And now they have this brand new, they call it revolutionary facility that these guys are going to practice in. And, you and I might not see the value in that because that's not our place of work that we'll go to, but you got to think about it. They usually only go to the stadium 8 times a year. They're always in that practice facility all the time. If it's state-of-the-art and it's amazing, that's their place of work and that's their job. So if it's super comfortable and super up-to-date, why wouldn't you want to go work there? And you see the success that we're having with the coaches and the players and think that the GM is really smart. I think, yeah, absolutely. I guess I hate to say this because it sounds like a Twitter reference, but I would definitely say Minnesota is definitely trending upward for a free agent signing place, and which is great, like I mentioned, because we're not a big market type town. But stuff like that will definitely bring people in, especially if you're going to be working for that company.
And, that was something I didn't really think about fully when, the Vikings were making this transition from Winter Park to the new facilities and moving training camp out in Mankato, because I'm a traditionalist and I like the way they've done things in the past. But I also forget that all of us, we're all older than these players that are coming out of college. And these younger kids that are coming out into the NFL draft are they like this high tech. They've grown up, in social media and Twitter and high tech and all of this new fancy stuff. And so, seeing outdated facilities in Minnesota might not be the most attractive way to get these younger players coming. It actually is a really big benefit to the team to have these fancy new facilities and these state-of-the-art everything. That's a big deal for these players now.
You mean Sheldon Richardson doesn't want to tell his parents that if they want to go to the bathroom during the game, they got to go in the trough?
No.
I knew that was coming. Oh, I knew that was coming.
We got to get in as many trough references as possible on this show.
It reminds me of my dad, but used to play softball when I was very, very young, and we go to like the public, softball fields, and that's all they had was this troughs you get to piss in. Oh, oh God.
Yeah, but yeah, the new facilities look amazing, and the fact the Vikings are on the edge of just being on the Super Bowl, one game away from the Super Bowl last year.
Big deal.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. And now, they got a couple splash signings, one on offense, one on defense. Got plenty of studs on offense and defense as well. I just don't understand why a player wouldn't want to come here if the money was kind of similar.
Mm-hmm. Players like Mike Zimmer, that's a big deal. That will help. And the Kirk Cousins signing also shows that you can come to Minnesota and get paid. You can get a payday here, too. I think,
and then you also got to look at, we haven't had a franchise quarterback in God knows how long. It's always been a stopgap here. Somebody twisted their knee. We got this guy to fill in for this year, or we signed people out way past their prime like Donovan McNabb, and then I want to throw myself off a bridge. I don't know. Oh, sorry. I'm always seem to be the guy that references Donovan McNabb. I'm still pissed off about that signing.
Yeah, I've tried to block that out in my memory.
Weird. That's a weird footnote in Vikings history.
It's so bad.
It really is. Well, that's all I have for this week. Do you guys got anything else you want to add?
We could talk about that time Josh Freeman started at quarterback for us. Oh
my God, social media question. Which was worse, the Josh Freeman game or anytime Donovan McNabb started for us?
Oh, the Josh Freeman game.
Oh, without a doubt, Freeman.
Yeah.
Wow.
So bad.
Now, you could probably go Freeman or Webb versus the Packers.
God, that was terrible. And what's worse? Tony Dungy, he's not that old now, but he definitely wasn't old, 6 years ago when we went to the playoffs. But he's like, I think you should just run the Wildcat and do all these run-pass options with this guy and just use athletic ability. Said it
wrong
on TV, and we were like, no, let's take this running, athletic, sort of tries to be wide receiver and make him throw from the pocket.
Just fucking drop back every pass.
We're going to make Joe Russ be Peyton Manning tonight, and let's see how that goes.
Yeah, it didn't work out great. A lot of these things I just don't understand what the Vikings are doing.
Remember that opening drive where they used Joe Webb like Joe Webb and we got 7 points out of it? And we're like, yeah. And then they just stopped the rest of the game.
It's kind of like the NFC Championship game this year. It's like, okay, cool. Let's put some points on the board. And then that's the last thing we ever saw.
And that was it.
No more.
Oh, sorry, guys. Didn't mean to bring that up.
And like the last 2 times the Vikings had the number 30 pick in the draft, you trade down and you end up with Toby Gerhart or Chris Cook.
Chris Cook. I'd rather have Toby Gerhart back. Is he still available? I just don't ever want to talk about Chris Cook.
You guys do realize we're going to wait the entire length of the first round for the Vikings to trade back and go to the second round. It'll be on day 2, right?
I'm ready for it.
You know that's happening.
I hate you so much. I'm going to be so pissed if I wait around and that happens.
Dude, we all know. Just come to terms with it right now, and you will be set for when that happens.
The Vikings set an NFL record. They turned 8 draft picks into 16.
They now have the entire 7th round.
Oh, that would be incredible. And they're all with Cleveland's picks because Cleveland has like 800 draft picks for the next 4 years.
Oh,
I'm fine with give me all 4th round draft picks. We do pretty good with our 4th round picks in Minnesota. Where we got Stephon Diggs from.
I have a great idea, guys. And maybe we can do this just for our lifetime because I can't go back because I didn't physically watch. We should make the F- squad of Vikings players by position. We'll take the worst quarterbacks that we knew. Like we'll have a starter and a backup. We'll take the worst rider. I already know who we're going to put at corner because he couldn't cover anybody. So, I think we should definitely.
Let's talk amongst ourselves for that one. Are we going like all time?
Hey, we got to keep it classy though. Come on.
No, that's fun. We're doing.
Sorry, I'm bringing out the Levitard in me. I want to make fun of stuff.
I tell you. Well, let's do our top 10. Who do you guys got?
Oh man, I don't even have my notes. Give me a second.
I got mine here, guys. Let me let them load. I'm glad Adam caught that save because I definitely forgot to add that in the notes this week.
It was your idea. How do you forget?
Well, we're at number 7, correct?
We are at number 7.
Well, let me go then while you guys dig up yours. And I know that I'm going to get some stuff in the chat here, so let's have at it. My number 7 best Minnesota Viking player of all time is Chris Carter.
Ooh.
I love Chris Carter. Love everything he's done on the field. Amazing pass catcher. He overcame a lot as far as his substance abuse when he, things fizzled out with his previous team, came to Minnesota, was able to reestablish himself, become part of the offense, be a real team leader, and go on to just have a fantastic career even in broadcasting afterwards. So Chris Carter still holds a lot of Vikings records, and he definitely deserves to be one of the Minnesota Vikings top 10 greatest players of all time.
I like that pick a lot, sir. I like it a lot. My guy has already been named, but I'm going to talk about him because I'm going to try my best to keep all the positives in front of me. But it's going to be former MVP and most recent MVP for the Vikings, Adrian Peterson, lands at number 7 on my list. He's a generational player. Up until 2015, we'll go up to last year because last year was kind of weird because I really wanted to see him and Sam Bradford play, but little injuries started to creep in. We won't talk about the off-the-field stuff. I'm just going to talk about Adrian Peterson, the running back. Man, in a time where the NFL was changing so much into a pass-heavy, pass-friendly league, he was one of the few remaining guys in his prime where you could be like, well, we got this guy named Christian Ponder at quarterback, and I don't really have a lot of star receivers. I'm just going to turn around and hand this guy the ball 30 times a game and see what happens. And he's like, all right, cool. How many other guys we got? I'm just going to throw them all on my back, and we're going to make magic happen. I really, really hope that he finds a home for the next 2 years, has productive seasons of, 700-800 yards, a couple more touchdowns. I really want to see him get in the Hall of Fame, but for the time that he spent here, I believe we'll always know him and remember him as a Viking, especially that crazy 2012 year where he rushed for over 2,000 yards. So, and
I hate that he has things that have hurt his legacy over his career.
Absolutely.
And most of them are off field.
Yeah, absolutely.
All of them are off the field.
Could have all been avoided.
Yeah, everybody's got that one thing. Like Favre had the interceptions, and
Yeah, but that's football.
Peterson had, fumbling issues, whatever. But I hate that. That's a good point, Adam. That's a great point. It's the thing that we're always going to hold the asterisk up the side of is, well, he had the stuff off the field, and it was kind of bad. I don't know. It's annoying.
Yeah, because we're always talking about, like, Jim Marshall's wrong way run, and, Chris Carter had his drug problems, and everybody's got these asterisks. And I understand that Adrian Peterson's asterisks are a little more in the digital age where now a lot more information was able to be spread out a lot faster and a lot more in depth than in the past. So I understand why a lot of Vikings fans still don't care for Adrian Peterson, but there's no real denying what he was able to do on the field.
Absolutely.
I'm going to make you guys try to guess mine. I'm going to see if you can figure this out.
Okay, all right, give me your last three real quick.
My last three. My number 10 was Adrian Peterson. My number 9 was Jim Marshall. Number 8 was Jared Allen, and number 7 is a former Iowa Hawkeye.
Damn it, Chad Greenway.
It is not Chad Greenway.
Oh,
it is a good guess though. It is a area that some say may be a position of need for the Vikings currently.
Oh my goodness.
He is a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 1998.
Continue.
He set the NFL record for interceptions with 81.
Oh.
And he has picked off 45 different quarterbacks during his career.
Impressive.
Minnesota Vikings. That is former safety Paul Krause.
Paul Krause. It's a solid choice, sir.
Yeah, he appears on all of our lists. Mine not yet, so he's still coming on mine, but he was on you guys' both already, so
yeah,
pretty cool.
Darn good player. I had to get that he's a former Iowa Hawkeye because no one ever mentions that when they talk about him.
Because nobody cares about Iowa.
Oh,
they do, Adam. They do.
Oh, okay.
They got offensive linemen and one safety in the past. I mean,
you guys need entrance music.
And Chad Greenway. Come on.
Where's Chad Greenway's rings?
Oh no.
Is he married?
I think he is married.
Yeah.
And so I'm very skinny now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy how the players talk about the difference between like playing weight and like I'm retired, regular walking around body weight.
Really slender compared to what we used to know. It's really weird. Yeah. But I'm not going to talk about old Vikings and how their bodies look now. I think it's time to end the show.
Yeah, let's finish things up. Of course, we're trying to be more interactive on our social media, so hit us up on Facebook. We're going to be putting some more posts up there. Our friend Dorian Foley's been doing some stuff on our Facebook, interacting with people, posting up some transactions and questions and fun things. So huge thanks go out to him. And please keep interacting on there as well as our Twitter account at Purple People Pod. You can check me out, MN Viking Zombie, as well as you guys if you guys want to pimp your social media.
Sure. If you can find me on Facebook, Kyle Smith. I posted a new video tonight, music cover, because I do music outside of work. Haven't done that in a while. Also, if you happen to be in the El Paso area or Las Cruces, New Mexico area, if you like Metallica, I am in a Metallica tribute band called Disposable Ink. We will play the Black Album in its entirety and a couple of other favorites like Moth into Flame, some newer stuff, some older stuff, but definitely the Black Album. If you like that era of Metallica, come see me. Come hang out.
Do you play Whiskey in a Jarro?
In the jar. No, I don't think we're playing Whiskey in the Jar. I think it might be along the lines of like Creeping Death, Moth into Flame, something like that. I recommended I Disappear. I love that song growing up. Or I really like the new song that's out on the latest album called Now That We're Dead. But I can't give you any of those now, but I can give you a yeah. I can give you one of those because I have to practice those a lot.
There you go. Kyle's got some artwork that he sells, and he has gotten some sales quite recently, I believe.
Yeah, I have. It's always weird. People buy my shit. What are you buying my shit for? No, it's really good. It's really cool. I sold a print of U.S. Bank Stadium. That's really neat. You can see the link to all my stuff is down in the description on the YouTube channel. And
a Hulk Hogan inspired shower curtain. Don't forget that.
Yeah, that's amazing. Someone bought a shower curtain with a drawing of Hulk Hogan on it. I want to party with that person because they're probably pretty cool.
Right. They probably have one of the most interesting bathrooms ever.
I once sold a pillow that had a photograph of a squirrel on it.
I can't get over the shower curtain.
Yeah, and I really want to know.
Anyways, brother, here's your soap.
I should talk about that really quick since I got a question about that. No, the photograph of Adrian Peterson, the painting that hangs behind me up there, that was my friend Jessica. She's a really good artist, and she drew him all by hand and painted him by hand. I will give a link to her work if you're ever interested. She does custom artwork, custom anything. So if you want a painting, she'll paint it for you. She'll draw it for you. She'll do tattoos, all kinds of cool stuff.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
You can check out my work on the Viking Age. I'm always putting up new articles talking about something or other to do with the Vikings. You can download the app. It's available on the Apple Store and Google Play and wherever apps are found. The same goes for Undead Walking if you're into zombies. Exciting time. The Walking Dead Season 8 is about halfway done, so tune on in there. And Fear the Walking Dead starting up on April 15th. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've already had the opportunity to watch the first 2 episodes as screeners to prepare myself and take notes and do early reviews and things like that. And they're really good. So if you haven't been watching Fear the Walking Dead, don't worry, because if you watch the first episode when it premieres on April 15th, you won't need to have watched any of the episodes previous to enjoy what's going on. So tune on in and enjoy. Also, there's a Walking Dead comic book, games, all that kind of stuff. We cover all of that. And that's pretty much it for Fansided, which I've made my home for the past while. And one of the reasons why I've gotten so in-depth as far as being a Vikings fan, Fansided has helped to bring out the best in my Vikings fanness. So hopefully you guys will check out both the Viking Age and Undead Walking. Do you guys have anything else you want to say before we take off?
That's it.
Pay and neuter your pets.
Yeah, like this guy.
Yeah.
Don't text and drive. That's what Chris Hardwick says.
Actually, you know what? Here's a good, really quick story. Speaking of which, you'll like this, Mr. Smith. My boss got a message out of the blue from someone who was like, "Will you adopt a puppy?" And she's like, "Maybe." The breeder had a dog that was born deaf, and they were just going to put the dog down because they didn't want the dog to be like rebred or whatever. And yeah, I know. That was my reaction to that too. And she was like, "No, of course I will take the dog." And so he's been hanging out at the shop with us for the past couple of days, and he's an amazing little dog. So adopt your pets. There's always ones out there that need your help. And
yes.
Yeah.
Go to the shelter, volunteer, even if you have 10 dogs. Go help them out because they always need help. I can definitely tell you that.
Yeah, this little puppy is amazing. He's so cute and he's so awesome. And I can't believe that just because he was deaf, they were going to have him put to sleep. That's
all right, just one more quick thing. Jason, don't eat and drive. Pull over and eat, man. You don't need to be doing that. Be safe, man. We want our listeners safe.
Yes.
On that note, I do want to thank everyone who joined us here in the chat. I want to encourage everybody to give us a big thumbs up here. Hit the bell button to receive notifications for every time we go live. Share our podcast if you like it. You can share it here on YouTube or on iTunes, Stitcher, PodOMatic, wherever. And I do want to apologize for last week because we put our show out a day late. We were having some technical issues with converting it from the video to audio format. So sorry so much on that for those who would like to listen to the show almost immediately that there was that delay. So we're hoping not to have that issue today. Fingers crossed. But we do apologize for that. And I do want to once again thank everyone for joining us here, and hopefully we'll be back again next week to give our number 6 Vikings of all time, as well as discuss all the other transactions, news, rumors, and everything to do with the Minnesota Vikings. Stay classy, Minnesota.